now going to go over building the fast hop units. The configuration I tend to use is the fast hop, the 70-degree silverback bucking, and the modifier flat nub. So what we'll do is we'll start by taking out the outer barrel. This is a 5mm Allen key. Just undo these four here. This is a pretty quick process, it doesn't take too long. Always remember as well to undo your locking bolts, and what I'm about to show is a rookie mistake whereby you actually need to take out the hop screws as well. Schoolboy error 101. So we'll take these out because these obviously go straight through into the hop unit and will prevent you from removing the outer barrel. So now we can take the outer barrel out, and we'll just put the rifle to the side. Now we'll have to remove these two screws here. There's one either side. These are a 2mm Allen key size screw, and these hold the hop unit and the inner barrel into the outer barrel. That's one. It's worth. You will probably get a little bit of packing grease on these as well. It's completely normal. Just put the instruction book back over there onto its pillow. That's it. Take this out. And then these can be a little bit stubborn to start with, but you just have to give them a good tug, and then they come out like this. So now we'll set the outer barrel just down over there. In removing the screws from both the standard hop and the fast hop, you're going to need a 1.5mm Allen key, and we're just going to undo these here on this side and on the other side of the hop units. Once we have those taken apart, what you're gonna feel is a little bit of resistance when taking the hop unit off of the barrel. These come with a standard 60-degree bucking, and the new Silverback buckings are they give you 100% air seal. The downside to this is that when you're trying to take these off, it does take a bit of resistance, but you'll see there it does pull the bucking over the hop window, and the back edge of that hop window will generally cut into the nub in the bucking itself, and that's what's happened here. It's kind of sliced into it, and that bucking is now pretty much redundant. But we're just going to stack all the parts over here, and we'll now look at, perhaps whilst we've got everything off of the inner barrel, just giving it a good clean. I tend to use these, they're called shotgun cleaning kits, and you can get them from eBay for £6-7 roughly. This got a couple of different extensions on there for different lengths of barrel. All I tend to use is the mop attachments. You don't need the hard, you've got no carbon build up in these things, so you don't need to use the hard brushes. It's just kind of just getting it through the whole barrel and just clearing out any small specks of dirt. I mean, the Silverback barrels as they come out of the rifle are very good. Perhaps one of the best stock rifle barrels that I've seen from any manufacturer. So anyway, now we're going to start to open up the fast hop, and let's get this built. Just move the other parts over here from the standard hop. So you'll get the unit itself and a bag of all the parts, and separate the inner and outer sleeve and take off the adjuster wheel. When opening up these, I will use mouse mats. This is actually a large mouse mat, believe it or not, or a tech mat. It's just take the bounce away from anything that you drop, so it doesn't bounce into the nether and you'll never find it again. With the fast hop in particular, there's a small metal pin that joins the arm, and if you lose that, there are a couple of things I think you can use as a substitute, but they are not cheap to replace. It's about £7 for the pin and the arm. so try and keep hold of those. You'll see on the inner sleeve there are two ridges. This is where the two smaller O-rings are going to go onto if we don't drop them like that. So they just roll down. The older versions of the Fasthop used to put some grease on them just to let the adjuster wheel float, kind of move a lot more freely, but these ones I find don't tend to need it. What I do find needs a little bit of grease as there are two small O-rings on the inside of the hop unit. Now it does seem a little bit counterintuitive to be putting a little bit of grease inside the hop unit. I know that we said not to do that in the last video, but I use a small Allen key with a ball end, and what we're going to do is just again go to the little Abbey grease that I use. Again, you can use the grease that comes with the rifle, tiny amount on there, and what we want to do is basically coat these O-rings inside. If an O-ring comes out, you can get replacements here. They are sold separately. What we can do to try and prevent that is again to grease them. So we've got two there. We've got one right at the front, and with just a tiny amount, we're just going to put it, rotate it around there, and then go for a second dab. I mean, you're talking just a minuscule amount on the end of this, and inside the hop units, the inner sleeve, there's a second O-ring. It's really hard to get this on camera, but if you see one, you look down there, you'll see it. So we're just going to get access to it through here, and again just a little bit of grease on this. It's just if these dry out and your nozzle goes forwards to load BB, it has been known to rip out the O-ring, cause a blockage, and your air seal, your consistency is all going to go up the wall. So now we're going to first start with putting the outer sleeve on the barrel. Then we've got this thick O-ring that'll follow. Next is the bucking. Again, this is the Silverback 70-degree bucking. Here in the UK, we're shooting at a max of 500 FPS. The legal limit's 2.5 joules, but most sites are 2.32 joules, and I've just found this 70-degree gives kind of the best results on 4.5s and 4.8 BBs. So before we put the inner sleeve on, get the adjuster wheel on, make sure that bucking is nice and centre to the window, and then we just put the inner sleeve over the bucking. It does take a little bit of force, but just be slow, be patient, don't rush it, don't tear it. Then we'll marry up the large O-ring to the base of the inner sleeve, and then the outer sleeve can then join. When you're doing these, make sure that the window lines up, so we have everything nice and square. Now you'll notice, well, in the packet we've got different types of grub screw. There are flathead grub screws, that's the pin I was talking about there, which you can chase out to the arm there. So you've got flat-headed grub screws, and there's one grub screw with a point. Now the point of the grub screw, sorry, the pointy grub screw, that's the one that goes on the outer barrel. The two flat-headed grub screws are what's going to go in the side of the hop unit to hold it in place. So now we're going to put this in. When we're putting this in, you just need to be careful, don't over tighten it. These just hold it in place, these aren't going to go anywhere. This is all an enclosed unit. Don't wrench them. If you wrench them, if you put too much pressure on these, you're going to dent your inner barrel, and you're going to need a new inner barrel, which is not a lot of fun. It will cause a blockage if you put a dent in this brass. So we've got one in, we're going to go for the second. Again, just being careful, just making sure that it's just making contact, and that's it. Now I'm going to use the modifier flat bucking. When we're placing this in, just going to drop it in there. You're not going to get it in perfectly first time. You're going to need to manipulate it slightly. Try and get it roughly centre. make sure it's straight. And then comes the fiddly bit of putting the arm in. When you're putting this in, try and make sure the adjuster wheel is set to 0. This will make it a lot easier because there'll be very little pressure on the arm to start, and then the pin goes in as well. Again, this is fiddly. I've done it quite a few times, hence why it just looks easy. Now once it's in there, that nub will move. I tend to use either a sharp flat blade, the only reason it's useful is because it's thin, or a flat-headed screwdriver, small flat-headed screwdriver, which is what I tend to use, or a modelling knife, just something that's flat and can easily get between the gap of the hop unit and the arm and the nub. So just manipulating it slightly to make it nice and straight and even, and this will give you a better shot consistency as well. Now what I tend to do is put it on setting 7, look down and just make sure that it's sitting nice and center, and that's going to give me the best chance of a consistent straight shot. Once you're happy, as I am there, I'm going to put that away. The other thing I'm a bit of a sucker for is a clean workspace. It does make it easier. Just get everything back. You don't need it's so easy to make a mess as I have there, so I'm just going to get everything away. So now we've got everything built and put away. I honestly believe this is the best Fasthop style hop up unit for the SRS on the market. The others, I'm not saying they're bad, but this one, it just does everything you need to do, and it's like 37 quid. So anyway, we'll get this back into the outer barrel here, and again this is where this line really helps, because you can see it through this hole here, and you can make sure that it's lined up exact as it needs to. And we'll just put these screws back in on the top and the bottom. Again, these are just to hold it in, you don't have to wrench these in, just give it a little twist. Don't over tighten it, and don't forget to do it on both sides. This is a new thing with the A2 barrels, they have one either side. The other thing you need to make sure of as well is that these are flush, because if they're not flush, if they're protruding slightly, they will make it difficult to reinsert the outer barrel in the rifle. So you can see both these are now flush. Now we'll just put it back into the rifle body itself. There's a little trick with putting these in. So obviously, get it in there. It is a bit of a fairground game where you try not to touch the sides. Not that it'll do anything, just don't want to possibly take any of the black off of it. Now when it's in, you can see it sitting on top of the BB tube there. Make sure that it's seated properly and that you can, so the BBs will feed into the unit. What I tend to do is then put the bolt into the rifle, pull back the trigger, slide it into the housing, and engage it with the hop unit. So when you're doing the outer barrel up, it will be perfectly centralized to your bolt, which will make cycling and shooting that much more of a precise experience. Again, when doing these up, just hand tighten. The A2 is recommended to be tightened up to 4 Newton meters of torque. So, I remember on Facebook someone said to do them to 11 Newton meters of torque, and the guy destroyed his receiver. So again, don't believe everything you read on Facebook, but we're just going to hand tighten these. I don't have a torque wrench, but you can wiggle at the end there. Now to get a little bit of play, that is completely normal. It's a free float barrel and it won't make any difference. I mean, if it's wobbling about all the place, then yeah, you need to tighten it up more, but if it's got a little bit of wiggle as I've just shown, that's fine. Now we're just going to rebuild the rifle with piston, spring, and then spring guide. Again, hold that trigger back to let all the components go in, and then hold the trigger forwards to make sure they don't come shooting out. Squeeze that butt pad on, make sure you lock in the bottom tab. Sometimes you need to, again with a new rifle, push down hard, then it will click in. The other thing I want to show you, let's just cycle it and make sure that it's working as it should be, which it is. Now we've got this in, I'm going to show you the air seal that the Fasthop gives. This is a very commonly asked question. So take off the thread protector from the flash hider, undo the grub screw at the bottom. This is a 1.5mm grub screw, and the reason for this is so I can get my finger cleanly onto the end of the inner barrel. We're going to leave the dust cover off of the rifle so you can see the piston, and I can then demonstrate the 100% air seal with the Fasthop on this build. So there we go, we're going to cover the end barrel, and there. Now I can hold on to that all day and it will stay there. 100% air seal. Just do it again, just to show you. And it's there. Again, just shows that you can get the 100% air seal with a Silverback Fasthop and bucking, and it works that well. Thanks for watching.